Today is such a fascinating and fun day. I'm going to my first midwife appointment. I am a bit over 7 weeks pregnant from the date of what I believe is the conception date. They, however, are calculating it from the first day of my last period, which would make me more like almost 10 weeks or something. Either way, I'm excited, and I'm gonna take you along with me a couple of shots of going into the actual Iceland. I won't show, of course, like the midwife or anything like that, just for their own privacy. And how much I pay for this visit. My boyfriend is here with me. We're quite excited about it, and yeah, this is the journey of a whole new life that's happening. Hey, I'm just popping in to give a little bit of context because the intro that you just saw is actually from March. I'm currently 25 weeks, going on 26 weeks, and I'm just sharing some updates about my pregnancy journey. So this is my first midwife appointment, as I mentioned, and I also give a little bit of context about the Icelandic healthcare system after you finish seeing kind of my experience for this first visit, and also add a little bit more information about what I talked about, what my boyfriend and I talked about regarding our family history and how that will also like come into play later on for future visits, just making sure that the baby is healthy and going through like certain tests and things like that. So just FYI, this is jewels of present day, just giving a little bit of update about this past event that I've been documenting in terms of my pregnancy over time. This is the outside of the health center I go to, or Iceland downtown. And once you go in, you sign in essence, with your kinnitala, which is the same as a social security number, for instance. And once I did that, it then was telling me that I had just 1 minute before my booked time. She took my blood pressure, which was a little high that day, but overall it's been fine. And then also gave me a cup for a urine sample and paperwork for a blood test that would be coming up. But here's my recap. So my meeting with the midwife was super awesome. Her name is Grudrun. So nice, so sweet. And I have to pee in a cup and test the protein amount in my urine. So I'm about to do that. I didn't, of course, record the meeting because I didn't want to infringe on her own privacy or whatever else and make that awkward, but took blood pressure, weight, and also just talked, like she asked me different questions about my family history, my boyfriend's family history, and just in general, just getting a sense of me. So I'm in the bathroom now, do my protein test, and then I'm done for the day. And the next appointment will then be the ultrasound and blood test, which is happening in a couple of weeks. And then I go and see the midwife after that. There is no charge for this appointment, which I wasn't sure about that. But yeah, it's included, and that's really freaking awesome. My protein levels have to be in this level area, the last two. Then it's good. If it were darker, then like if it were on this side, then there would be not an issue, but I'd have to tell her basically. But it's there, or here. No, it's more like here, which is great. As you can see, I was very happy with the first midwife appointment with Gudrun. And before I go into like things where we ask for different questions regarding family history that is important for later on when I show some other footage, I do want to clarify for the Icelandic healthcare system. So it is a universal healthcare system that is highly subsidized in essence. So not completely free. We do pay for visits, like normal doctor visits and things like that. But within the system, I guess going to a midwife, all of that is included, meaning I don't have to pay an additional fee. There are some things I do pay for later on, and I'll get into that, and I'll try my best over the course of this pregnancy to keep track of all of the costs that have been incurred, which so far is very few in terms of what I'm expected to pay like additionally. And that's usually if we want something more to be paid for. And that is because our taxes are paying for this. So it's not just like the government being generous and, giving us free healthcare. It is that the people who pay taxes in Iceland are paying into the system. And then that allows for us to have a more highly subsidized system for healthcare costs. So much lower than maybe people in other places, like for instance, the United States, or other countries where healthcare can be quite expensive. So that's always like really nice to experience. And I wasn't sure, even though I'd heard that midwife appointments were included price-wise, but seeing it for yourself makes a difference, and experiencing and then relaying it. And in terms of the process, the going to a midwife first is how Iceland does it. So when I called up the Iceland, which is my healthcare center, so all of the healthcare centers around Iceland are called Iceland, and then they're for certain like territories, area codes, whatever. I live downtown in 101, so this is why I went to this specific one. It is my assigned one in essence, based off of where I'm located. I am pleasantly surprised that being pregnant, it's almost like it's a very different experience going through the healthcare system than just being like a normal person who is sick, because that has happened to me before, having, a cold or flu or whatever. And I have experienced calling up to get even, a doctor's appointment, and that could be months that you have to wait. Whereas when I called up and said I was pregnant, they immediately contacted the midwife at the healthcare center, and she then contacted me very soon after and was setting up appointments, giving me advice, sending me information on what to know, nutrition, different things, how it works in Iceland. In fact, I think what I first did is I contacted the birthing center here. And they said how the system works, so you have to contact your healthcare center. Yeah, that's what it was. And yeah, so I went there, and I wouldn't say I was like dreading it, but I was kind of expecting there to be like this long wait. And even on my first midwife appointment with that 10 weeks, at the time, like I said, I did not believe it was 10 weeks just based off of what I thought in terms of conception time was. But you live, you learn. And the human body is fascinating, for sure. So being at 10 weeks and seeing her, that's, in essence, it seems to be the timeline. And then from there, going on to have the midwife who's making all these other appointments, blood tests, urine tests. I talk about, later on we go to get a check from a pediatrician, cardiologist. And the reason being is that my boyfriend's youngest daughter, so he has 2 daughters who are lovely, and they are young adults. But when the youngest was born, they found a major heart defect and other things going on with her that they say are not genetic. However, that was quite traumatic for her as a child, for the family. There was many years of like different surgeries and all of this stuff and treatment. Thankfully, she's come out of that and she's healthy and thriving. But it could be scary to not know, because this wasn't caught, and they weren't living in Iceland. They were living in Austria at the time, but this is also 15 years ago. So it's a very different thing in terms of how technology has advanced and all that. So we just wanted to be extra precautious and get extra tests. So I'll talk about that later on when I give an update for the other ultrasounds and whatever else, because it has been helpful talking to the midwife and her understanding, and then her helping us to get these appointments for later on. And cost-wise, I'll go into all of that. But for this one, no cost. And that was cool. And we spent probably about an hour with her chatting, and she's my main, midwife in terms of who I chat with. If I wanted to see a doctor, I could, but I have felt, and this is of course speaking for present day too, but even at that moment from meeting her, I felt really happy with how things have been progressing, and didn't feel the need to request seeing an OBGYN and having that as the person who is specifically following me through, rather than it's been my midwife or the midwives of this health center, because I've gotten other messages in weeks following this first appointment about things from other midwives that work at this health center. So they've been pretty on it, happy about it. If you have any questions though, feel free to let me know in the comments about anything that has come up as I've been talking about this, or maybe in future videos I will answer those, meaning like it will come up naturally from the content, but I can also make separate videos about things too. I'm also thinking about making a video regarding the health, like birthing centers here, and what I have access to be able to showcase what the rooms look like and things like that. So I have some different ideas, but I'd love to hear what other people are interested in hearing about and seeing, because it's fascinating. I'm learning as much as I can, of course, and then sharing as I go along. I have to say, first trimester though was challenging. It was challenging. So it was not debilitating, I would say, as much as it was extremely challenging for me to have what I guess was like 4 weeks of, maybe even 6 weeks, I'm not even completely sure, of just feeling insanely tired every day and doing my best dealing with the nausea. And it's funny because I had just come off of doing a launch, like a presenting out my Savvy Traveler's Guide to Iceland, which is this comprehensive video guide that I put together. And I have videos that I'm going to be coming out with about it. There are already people who have signed up for it and been using it. And I have this private Facebook group where I go live once a month to answer people's questions and do other stuff. So I literally, once I finished that, that's when this sort of crash happened because of being pregnant, just putting so much effort and love into that. I mean, we're talking 50 plus hours of video content to help people to have an amazing adventure in Iceland, to basically plan their own adventures, but with my help. And yeah, it's just, I'm so proud of it. And at the same time, it was a contributing factor to me at this time feeling like it was possible to almost burn out, you know? I'll have a link in the description to the Savvy Traveler's Guide to Iceland for anybody who wants to check it out. It is amazing. It's for lifetime access. So whether you're going soon or next couple of years, like I said, I'm very proud of it. And at the same time, I realized that I needed a break after. For the baby was telling me, chill out, mom. We need to relax. And dealing with this nausea stuff. So I am happy that it wasn't the full first trimester that I had, sickness. I didn't have morning sickness ever. I only had nighttime sickness, which I didn't even know was a thing. Let me know if you've ever experienced that. What is that? Like, it would get around 9 o'clock and all of a sudden I would feel nauseous. My eyes would be sensitive to light. I had to go lay down. It was a whole thing. And even at this first midwife appointment, I talked to her about feeling nausea during the day. And she asked me what type of supplements I was taking. And I explained that. And she mentioned that actually it could be that I'm taking way too many supplements and that is making me sick. So we scaled back from her advice. And I just started using folic acid every day, of course, and vitamin D at night. So just in case that was causing any nausea. And my nausea went away. Like, not completely the night sickness, but it was way less. I had none during the day. Took a couple of days before it just like leveled out. But I was like, wow, who would have known? And so, as a first-time mom, really trying to do all the things for my growing baby, who knew that I was overdoing it? Which I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that. Because, yeah, you're just trying your best, doing my best. Life though, right? So I do have other updates, of course, about like the first ultrasound. We've had 2 ultrasounds since this initial midwife appointment, and I'll be sharing those. Of course, I'd love to hear your comments about anything regarding this. And of course, I'll have a video at the end once my pregnancy is over regarding total cost of things. If there's other content ideas though, in terms of things you want to know or have answers to, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm all about trying my best to provide as much insight as possible. And I love conversating with you all over here on YouTube. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who has said congratulations when I made the pregnancy announcement. I have not been able to respond to everybody. It's been so many comments. Sometimes I take days where I answer and then come back to whatever. So I apologize if I have not been able to say thank you to your individual comment, but I do deeply, deeply appreciate it. So thank you very much. And I am enjoying this journey. I don't know if you can see my belly here. That is growing out more now than it was growing, wide. And that's kind of fascinating to see that change. All right, well, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.